Before we dive into the second half of your free information and training session, I'd like to share four brief reminders. First, please remember that this session is exclusively for men. Second, please ensure you have watched the first half prior to watching this to keep the correct flow going. Ladies, your session will follow soon after this one. Please attend your session. Third, similar to our previous session, please allocate a full hour to watch this video. If you are pressed for time, you may always return to it later as it gets uploaded here. Finally, just like before, we will have a short intermission about halfway through. This will give you an opportunity to grab a coffee, visit the restroom, and take a breather. Now let's get started. As we transition into the second half of Lesson 1 of Awaken Her Passion, I want to reiterate how crucial this journey is, not just for your partner, but for you as well. We've laid the foundation for understanding what unconditional love truly means, and now it's time to dig deeper. In this portion, we will explore the powerful tools and techniques that not only enhance your vocabulary of love, but also enrich your emotional connection with the woman you love. We'll delve into the importance of effective communication, mutual respect, and the genuine expression of your feelings. It's essential to remember that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice, a daily commitment to nurturing the bond you share with your partner. Additionally, we will discuss common pitfalls that men experience in relationships and how to overcome them through conscious efforts and intentional actions. Together, we will practice exercises designed to strengthen your connection, encourage open dialogue, and pave the way for a fulfilling, passionate relationship. Prepare to be inspired by powerful anecdotes from couples who have faced similar struggles and emerged stronger. Their stories remind us that hope exists and transformation is possible. Engage fully with this experience and allow yourself to be challenged and uplifted. I encourage you to watch this video until the end, even if it means returning to it later. We have some exciting bonuses in store that I'm sure will inspire you in a positive way. Hello again, gentlemen. Let's take this important next step in your relationship journey together. Here we go.
There was a lawyer who took my class, and talk about a perfectionist. His wife took the class first, and luckily he wound up taking the men's class. Yet, she shared that he was a perfectionist, and every single day, he would put her on a scale. If she gained 1 kilogram, he wouldn't make love to her until she lost that weight. He enrolled her in gourmet cooking classes, interior design classes, aerobics classes, and every other kind of class that you could imagine. He felt that she had to be the perfect lawyer's wife. She told me that she used to be a vicious, bubbly, happy-go-lucky, spur-of-the-moment kind of person. In fact, in high school, she was a girl guide. It was obvious to me that little by little, he was getting rid of everything that she stood for, and every reason that he had fallen in love with her in the beginning. And so here was this depressed person who was losing all self-esteem, losing all sense of herself. What I finally told this man was, do you understand that you fell in love with her because of the traits that she possessed? Now, if you start to whittle away all those wonderful qualities that are the opposite of what you possess, what you're going to be left with is an empty shell. When you fell in love, you complemented one another. You couldn't be with somebody who was so serious, goal-oriented, and a perfectionist like yourself. You need to be with someone exactly like your wife. Then I told her, guess what happens when he molds you into the perfect wife and you become a carbon copy of him? He's going to get rid of you and go out and find somebody else he can mold. So you might as well keep who you really are and keep your own valuable, unique self. Thank goodness they both listened to me, and last I heard, they were once again madly in love with each other. A fulfilling partnership with a woman is only possible when both of you realize that the other person may think and do things differently, yet each of you has equal value and that each of you must respect the other's uniqueness. Whenever you try to create a carbon copy of yourself from another person, you lose. You lose the value and knowledge that your partner can contribute to your personal growth. The woman in your life has many lessons to teach you, just as you have many lessons to teach her. It's not by chance, yet rather by design, that opposites attract. Many men have told me about the growth they've experienced because of the wonderful women in their life. One man didn't think he would ever have become as successful as he is today if it hadn't been for his wife. He told me I was the logical, practical, analytical type, She was a dreamer. I would probably still be working for somebody else had she not convinced me that my abilities and talents were worth more than I thought and that I needed to take risks. Her belief in me is what changed my attitude. Today I want you to know, he is a real estate broker with 4 offices and 90 salespeople. They took out all the equity in their home and opened his first office many years ago. He knew that had he been by himself, he never would have had the guts to do that. He changed so much with her support. Another man said he became a much more caring person because of the new girlfriend in his life. He saw changes taking place in himself just a few months after knowing her. She was a volunteer at a local hospital and a convalescent home. He told me when I first met her, I couldn't believe that anybody would do so much for free. I thought she had to be nuts. Then she invited me to go along with her one Saturday. Now I'm hooked too. Here is part of a letter that one man wrote, and I'm quoting. I would have missed out on fatherhood completely if I hadn't met my wife. She had been widowed at a very early age and had 2 boys, age 1 and 3. You might say I got a package deal. I had never wanted children because my childhood had been awful. I thought there were no paternal feelings in me at all. That's all changed now. I think I'm a good father to my boys. I've legally adopted them, and I can't imagine life without my family. She brought out feelings I never thought I'd be capable of experiencing. I believe that opposites always attract because she makes you feel whole and you do the same for her. She is your complement. People are like clay. There are only a few years in which you can mold that clay, probably when you're about 3 or 4 years old. Then the clay hardens and holds its shape. You can try changing its beauty by taking a hammer and chisel to it, yet all you're really going to do is cause an ugly crack and break it. In the same way, you are attracted to your girlfriend or your wife because of her uniqueness. You are excited because she was different from you. So why try to change her? If you can appreciate her for who she is and find value in her uniqueness, she'll want to become more of a woman for you. There's nothing a woman won't do for a man who makes her feel good about herself. We're all so different, and everyone has value. I want you to start looking at the good side of everyone. Now let's get back to the woman in your life. Can you remember how you felt when you first met that wonderful woman? You probably told everyone how wonderful she was. You only saw her positive side. I used to show a list to the men in my class. On the left side was the trait you saw when you first met this glorious woman. On the right side, I show how you view the same trait years after you're in a relationship. Perhaps you loved her because she was so confident. Well, now you see her as conceited. I put soft-spoken. That's why you fell in love with her. Now you see her as timid and weak. She was mellow and calming. Now she is passive and boring. She was outgoing. Now she's a big mouth. She was sensitive. Now she's an emotional mess. Maybe you were attracted to her because she was so organized. Now you find her rigid. You considered her friendly. Now you see her as a big flirt. Do you know what's interesting about this list? Let's just say you finally get rid of this woman in your life because all you can see is the right side. She's a big mouth, conceited, boring, and all the other negative traits you see. She meets a new man. What do you think he is going to see in this woman? He's going to see the left side, all the wonderful qualities. She hasn't changed at all. He just sees what you used to see. Let me tell you why a woman falls in love. This is powerful information, especially for all of you men who are not in a relationship at this point. Those of you who are, once you understand why she fell in love, you'll understand what you need to do to keep her feeling that way forever. A woman falls in love because of the way she feels about herself when she is with you. The majority of women in my classes have said they felt prettier, sexier, more intelligent, more capable, and more needed than they ever felt about themselves before that special man came into their lives. One woman summed it up when she said, "When I fell in love, I felt perfect, as if I could do no wrong. For the first time, somebody loved me for who I was, and that was an incredible feeling." Another woman said, "My father was not a complimentary type of person. He used to tell me that I had big ears and no breasts, and that it should be the other way around. Needless to say, I didn't grow up feeling very attractive. Then when my husband came along, he told me how he loved my sexy legs, soft skin, and beautiful smile. He used to say that wherever I was, I lit up the place. I find that I walk a little taller, and I'm much more self-assured because of him." Another woman told me that she had felt stupid most of her life because she was always a little bit slower than her brothers and sisters. Her boyfriend made her feel like she was a capable human being. She said every time I started putting myself down, he made me stop and rephrase what I had to say, leaving out the part where I belittled myself. Over and over, he told me how wonderful and smart I was. He actually convinced me that I had more going for me than I thought. Another woman, Joanne, grew up with alcoholic parents. Her father became verbally abusive and sometimes abused her physically as well. She told the class, Bruce came over one night to pick me up, and my father was already drunk by the time he got there. He was swearing and throwing things. Bruce walked over to him, looked him right in the eye and said, "If you say or do one more thing to Joanne, I'm going to deck you." Right then and there, I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this man. He was my knight in shining armor. After 37 years, I still feel the same way. He's never stopped protecting me. Bonnie fell in love with Roger, her boss. She was his executive secretary. She told me when I first came to work for him, his office was in shambles. I reorganized and rearranged everything. Soon, he was taking me with him to all his business meetings and even started asking my opinion on some deals he was working on. He really respected me, and I enjoyed the feeling because it was mutual. We've been married for 11 years, and I love the feeling of being needed. He still consults me before making final decisions. One of the most touching stories which had all the women in tears was Karen. She said, "I had cancer and had to have one of my breasts removed. I was only 32 at the time, and I felt I would never find a man who could love me. Kent and I started dating, and when the inevitable day came, I felt compelled to tell him. He took me in his arms and he said, 'Don't you think you mean more to me than that?' We got married, and I can honestly say that I feel sexy in spite of what happened. It's all because of my kind, gentle, loving husband. And all of these very special men in their lives have boosted their self-esteem. No wonder they're so full of love and respect for them. Many years ago, I read a story that I've never been able to forget. It was called The 8-Cow Wife. It's about a Polynesian boy, Johnny Lingo, who fell in love with a young girl on a nearby island. The girl had been degraded by her father until she had no self-esteem left. In this particular society, when you wanted to get married, you bartered with cows. If the girl was very plain and ordinary, you could pay her father 1 cow. If she was an exceptional woman, you might wind up giving 3 or 4 cows. Women took great personal pride in the number of cows needed for the trade. Johnny could easily have traded 1 cow for this young girl, and her father would have been thrilled just to get rid of her. Instead, Johnny offered 8 cows, which shocked the whole village. When asked why he gave so many, he said he wanted everyone, especially his new wife, to know how much he felt she was worth. When one of the townspeople came to call on Johnny Lingo, he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Johnny's new wife. She had changed from an ugly young girl into one of the most beautiful young women he had ever seen. Low self-esteem is one of the most common reasons for depression in women. If you treat a woman like a thoroughbred, you won't have a nag. If you put a high value on the woman in your life, I will guarantee that she will try her best to be worthy of your appreciation. If people think highly of you, you don't want to disappoint them. You have a natural tendency to try to live up to their expectations. On the other hand, if a person degraded you, there is nothing to strive for. It takes a tremendous amount of love and tenderness to bring out the best in a woman. In the film 7 Beauties, the main character, played by Giancarlo Gini, says, "Every woman has a sweetness somewhere inside her. She may seem bitter on the outside, like a cup of coffee when the sugar is settled to the bottom. She needs stirring to bring the sugar to your lips." Male approval is so important to a woman. A woman's father is the first man in her life that either gives or withholds it. My wife had such little approval growing up that I had to give her a tremendous amount. A lot of women don't have a loving, doting father, and they spend the rest of their lives looking for the approval that they never got. Yes, you have to fill the gap. If you don't, she'll keep looking until she finds it. It's not something that she can live without. Now, let me also tell you what an affair is all about. A woman is in a relationship where she no longer feels good about herself, and so she finds another man that she feels good about herself with. It's not that she's in love with the other man. What she is in love with is the way she feels about herself when she is with the other man. And if you want to fight fire with fire, you've got to make this woman feel good about herself when she's back in your presence. And that's as simple as I can make it. If she no longer feels good about herself, she will go to another man who will make her feel good. So the program is not about getting better looking. Some of the most handsome men in the world are by themselves. It's not about making more money. Some of the wealthiest men are lonely. And it's not about becoming more intelligent. It's learning how to make another human being feel good about themselves. So here's your choice. You can concentrate on what she's not, what she hasn't accomplished, what she's not capable of doing, what she's always doing incorrectly, how inferior she is, and how she just doesn't measure up to your expectations. If that's what you choose to concentrate on, then your payoff will be a cold, bitter, cynical, unresponsive woman. If you choose to concentrate on loving her for who she is, appreciating her strengths, noticing the little things she does, praising her for all her small accomplishments, reinforcing her capabilities and raising her value as a human being, your payoff will be a woman who worships the ground you walk on, caters to your needs, responds to you passionately, and will never want to live without you. A good place to start is looking at all her wonderful traits, the qualities you saw in the beginning. I'm going to make it easy for you to do that with this program. Florence Littauer, who's also an author and lecturer, actually composed a chart based on the work of Hippocrates. Hippocrates came up with a temperament chart 2,300 years ago, on which he says that for every kind of temperament or personality, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. Just to give you an example, he broke it down to 4 basic personalities. There's the phlegmatic person, who's an introvert, a watcher, and a pessimist. And you might think, what could be good about this kind of woman? Her strengths are that she has a low-key personality. She's easygoing and relaxed, calm, cool, collected, well-balanced, has a consistent life. She's quiet, yet witty, sympathetic and kind, competent and steady, peaceful and agreeable. Her weaknesses are that she is unenthusiastic, fearful and worried. She's indecisive. She avoids responsibility. She's quite selfish and shy. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that for every temperament, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. There are certain professions that people go into depending on their personality. The phlegmatic is usually your diplomat, accountant, teacher, and technician. The next personality is the sanguine. Many people envy this type of person because, after all, they're great storytellers, talkative, the life of the party, have a great sense of humor, and are able to hold on to a listener and grab their attention. Yet look at their weaknesses. They're compulsive talkers, exaggerate and elaborate, dwell on trivia, can't remember names. Sanguine personalities usually are your actors, salespeople, and speakers. Let's look at the next one, the melancholy. That's the introvert, the thinker rather than the watcher, and the pessimist. The melancholy's strengths are deep and thoughtful, genius-prone, talented, creative, artistic, and musical. Weaknesses are, remembers the negatives, moody and depressed. Melancholy are your artists, musicians, inventors, philosophers, and doctors. The last one, the choleric, who is an extrovert, the doer and the optimist. And the choleric personalities are your leaders, producers, and builders of the world. The strengths for these people are, they are born leaders, they are dynamic and active, they instigate change, they correct wrongs, and they are strong-willed. Their weaknesses are, they're bossy, impatient, and quick-tempered, and they can't relax. Again, I want to emphasize that for every personality, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. You have a choice. Do I want to dwell on somebody's weaknesses, or do I want to concentrate on what's wonderful, what's special, what's unique, and why they matter in my life? A summary of what I've been talking about up to now is that everybody is part strength, part weakness. We have to learn to emphasize the positive rather than the negative. Just because somebody is different doesn't make them wrong, and different doesn't equal wrong. I remember a man in my class who said, "I don't understand what this class is going to do for me. My wife and I are coming from such different points of view." And let me give you an example. Let's just say that my wife and I want to get to the top of a building. My wife is going to take the elevator to get there. On the other hand, I'm going to put on my sneakers and run up those stairs because I love the physical act of running up the stairs. I love to breathe the fresh air, and I love to watch and enjoy the scenery. So you tell me how 2 people like that are ever going to make it. I said to him, by the end of the class, my hope is that you will take the stairs. You will allow her to take the elevator, and then you'll meet and go for a beautiful dinner and discuss how you both got to the top. You have no right to force her to take the stairs, and she has no right to force you to take the elevator. Both of you have to appreciate your different ways of getting to the top. If you have a relationship based on mutual respect, wouldn't it be nice if once in a while you joined her in the elevator? And wouldn't it be wonderful if once in a while she put on some tennis shoes and joined you on the stairs? Each of us is unique. Each of us is a combination of temperament traits. Nobody is 100% of anything. you will find that you possess many different traits within your own personality. Let me read you a suicide note from a teenager. It begins, "We live on a round planet. We assume, therefore, all the planets are round, like the one we live on. Yet, God looking out over the universe sees all kinds of planets. There are oval, rectangular, and square ones. They're not all round like the one we live on. What happens is that before you're born, God sorts out your soul. If you've got a round soul, he puts you on a round planet. If you've got an oval soul, he puts you on an oval planet. And if you've got a triangular soul, he puts you on a triangular planet. In my case, God made a big mistake. I've got an oval soul, and he put me on a round planet. The school, mum, and dad, and even you, doctor, keep trying to file my soul round like everybody else's. All I ever wanted to do was to keep my oval soul. Every house has to have room for different shaped souls. They simply cannot be nor need to be all alike. Yet for many parents, raising children becomes a tug-of-war of filing, shaping, stomping, squashing match to ensure that each child emerges with a proper shaped soul. Marriages often turn out to be that same struggle between two persons who want to be able to respect and even like souls that have a slightly different shape. My wife has 2 grown children from a much earlier previous marriage. Both her children are distinct. They each have different personalities. Both my wife and I can make a list on a piece of paper of every one of their strengths, every one of their weaknesses, and each of them is unique, and we want to appreciate them for their uniqueness. There is no such thing as one temperament being better than another. We're just different, and different does not equal better.
Hey there, everyone. We're halfway through our training module, and it's time for a quick intermission. This is a great opportunity to stretch your legs, grab a snack, or take a deep breath and let everything we've covered so far sink in. Remember, staying refreshed is key to retaining what you've learned. In just a few minutes, we'll dive back in and explore more exciting content that will enhance your skills and knowledge. So take a moment for yourself. We'll be back in 7 minutes, right here. Enjoy this break, and we'll see you soon.
Let me take the smallest room in the house, the bathroom, and show you what happens when two different people are trying to live with one another. And there's no right or wrong, just two different people that are trying to live with one another. One feels toothpaste tubes are squeezed from the bottom and then rolled up. The other person says squeeze the tube and use any fat spot and throw it away when it looks empty. One person feels you must floss your teeth after every meal or your teeth will fall out. The other person says, look, I've never had a cavity and I don't care about flossing. One of you feels mouthwash is just an advertising gimmick. The other person says it's necessary to fight bad breath. Another feels that clean people shower twice a day. The other person says that it's unhealthy to bathe more than 3 times a week. Taking a bath is like lying in your own dirt, and the other says that's the only way I feel really clean. The bathroom door is supposed to be closed when somebody is sitting on the toilet. The other person feels it's not natural to be squeamish about normal bodily functions. My wife told me a funny story where she still laughs because in her house, when her son was little, he used to sit on the toilet with the door wide open. Her daughter would walk by and say, "You are so disgusting." Same house, same upbringing, 2 different children. One of you feels towels need to be changed every day. The other feels clean towels are fine once a week. One of you feels all medications are supposed to be on one shelf. The other one says, who cares where the aspirin is as long as it's there? How about the toilet paper? One of you wants it to unravel from the top. The other wants to pull it from the bottom. And the toilet seat. What woman hasn't screamed in the middle of the night as she falls into the toilet because he forgot to put the toilet seat back down? There's no right or wrong. Now, if these differences can be found in the smallest room, guess what goes on in the rest of the house? This is just another example of how opposites attract. When we respect our differences, we complement one another. It's our differences which we are attracted to in the beginning of a relationship. Usually a person who wants to lead will be attracted to somebody who wants to follow. A good listener is attracted to a talker. A pessimist is usually attracted to an optimist. By the way, I think that many dating services don't work because when you fill out those questionnaires, they try to match you up with someone who is exactly like you, when they need to be matching you up with someone who's your opposite. Some of you might not want to admit this, yet those of you that have children, especially teenage children, the child that you get along best with is the one that is least like you, and the one that you're always arguing with is the one that's a carbon copy of yourself. If you can't be in a room with your dad for more than 20 minutes before a big argument starts, you can bet your bottom dollar that you have similar personalities. And if the two of you can spend the entire day together, I can bet that your personalities complement one another and you're opposites. So the one we get along with most is the one that is the opposite of what we're like. The last point is to accept a woman as she is, not what you want her to be. Acceptance doesn't mean putting up with her and being dishonest when we have to convince ourselves that she's perfect when she's not. Acceptance happens to be a happy state of mind when we realize it's not our responsibility to make her over, rather appreciating her for who she is. Now, how are you going to do this? Number 1, get rid of a superior attitude. This week, I would like you to think about the woman in your life. I would like you to think about what attracted you to her. Why did you fall in love in the beginning? Go back to day 1. What did you see in this woman? The same attributes are probably still there. You've just forgotten or haven't paid attention lately. Number 2, accept her as part strength, part weakness, part good, part bad. By the way, those are our marriage vows that most people don't remember. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. From this day forward. The problem is we think it's all going to be positive, and when it begins to get negative, or if there's any conflict, we think we need to get rid of her and get somebody else in our life. Number 3, very important. Start looking at her better side, her strengths. Life is too short to dwell on your partner's weaknesses. Start to dwell on all the things that are positive, wonderful, and good about her. Now let's look at your homework assignment. After all, what good is hearing information if you don't put it into action? First, I'll give the homework assignment for those who are in a relationship, and then we'll give the assignment for those who are not in a relationship. Okay, for those of you who are in a relationship, here goes. Think of it as a brand new relationship. For 1 week, every time you are tempted to criticize, demand, or express disapproval of any kind, I want you to write it down. Don't say it. For the remainder of this course, I want you to concentrate on her good side only. Remember, love is blind. Now, usually when I say this, somebody in my lecture always raises their hand and asks, well then, what if you have nothing to say all week? My answer is, it's going to be a very quiet week around your house. Think whatever you like. Write down all of your negative thoughts. Just don't have it come out of your mouth. And if it means it's going to be a very quiet week around your house, fine. Then there's going to be a lot of peace and quiet in your household. When you do this assignment, you begin to see yourself much more objectively. Some of us think we are so easy to get along with. We're such wonderful, positive people, and it's the other person that needs to change. And so when you stop yourself from criticizing or saying something negative, you'll be really shocked at how many times something negative would have come out of your mouth if you hadn't stopped it. Because of our upbringing, many of our thoughts and reactions are extremely negative. And second, notice some of the little things she does for you and tell her that you appreciate them. Third, let her know what you like about her personality. I'll give you lots of suggestions. Feel free to elaborate on some of these things. If she enjoys people and you don't, thank her for helping you not be so judgmental towards everyone. If she's practical and you're a dreamer, tell her how wonderful it is to have a woman who keeps you grounded. If she's bubbly and vivacious and you're doom and gloom, thank her for making you a more positive person. If she's verbal and you're a good listener, tell her how wonderful it is to have someone so entertaining and outgoing. If she's spontaneous and you're cautious, thank her for teaching you how to be less methodical and to enjoy the moment. If she's optimistic and you're pessimistic, thank her for giving you hope and a positive outlook. If she's got charisma and you're conservative, thank her for being so exciting to live with. If she is responsible and you're carefree, thank her for helping you become more organized and effective. If she's imaginative and you're more down to earth, thank her for helping you become more creative and playful. If she's intuitive and perceptive and you take things at face value, thank her for helping you read between the lines and learning that some things are not black and white, yet rather have a deeper meaning when you look more closely. If she does things at a slower pace than you, thank her for making you stop and smell the roses. If she's more family-oriented than you, thank her for providing you with security, comfort, loyalty, and devotion. If she has a lively sense of humor, thank her for making you laugh and lightening your burdens. If she shares her good fortune with others and is a giver, thank her for teaching them not to be so selfish and possessive. If she believes in you more than you believe in yourself, thank her for giving you more confidence in your abilities and helping you strive for more. Tell her that who she is, her basic core, is what you adore and appreciate about her with all your heart. Make her feel that she matters to you, that she's made a difference in your life, and that without her, you couldn't be as happy or satisfied as you have become. See, I can't change your life, yet if I can change the way you view your whole life is going to change. In this program, you're going to go from where you are now, completely unconscious of how negative you are, to becoming conscious of how negative you are. Most people walk around and have no idea how negative they are. During the course of this week, you're going to begin realizing. You may be out on Saturday night with friends and you'll think, I can't believe this couple. Everything that comes out of their mouths is a put down. She's so sarcastic and he's always making critical remarks. You're going to observe how critical, pessimistic, and fault-finding some people, including yourself, are. The next step is, I'm going to put you into a position of being consciously positive. In other words, I'm going to ask you to say things that might make you feel uncomfortable. Yet, I'm asking you to do it on a conscious level. And then the last step is you're going to be unconsciously positive, where you won't even realize what a positive person you have become until you see somebody else who is still negative, and you'll realize the growth that has occurred in you. Here's a wonderful little game that will change your negative mood into a positive one. Pick a time when you and your partner are acting negatively towards one another. Decide that whoever says something negative has to kiss the other person. Sometimes my wife will start out in a bad mood, and I'll say, okay, let's play the negative game. And from the looks of things, we're going to be making out all day. Trust me, this game will put you in a playful mood. I want you also to be aware that when you have negative thoughts, it creates negative energy, which in turn produces negative events in your life. Do you know someone who always wins a raffle ticket whenever they go to a basketball game or any kind of function? They're the ones who win the raffle ticket. Do you know what they say before they win every single time? Watch, I'm going to go in there and win because I always win. Do you know what everybody else says that doesn't win? I never win a thing. I could buy 1,000 tickets, and if they're selling 1,001, that one ticket I didn't buy would be the one that wins. I can't explain it yet. If you surround yourself with negative energy, negative things just seem to happen to you. This is a true story that a friend told me. My husband is deathly afraid of bees. He went to a camp as a teenager where in a lunchroom he saw a bee. 500 kids in the lunchroom, and nobody knew this bee was up there except for him. He was staring at that bee's every movement. He was breaking out into a cold sweat, saying to himself, "Watch this bee. It's going to come down, and it's going to sting me." Do you know what happened? The bee did come down, and out of 500 children sitting there, it chose him. Isn't that unbelievable? I mention this story because I've seen this happen over and over again. I don't want you to begin this program by saying it can't work for you. Yes, it can. Don't you dare put a whammy on it. It has worked for hundreds of men and women, and it's going to work for you too. So don't you dare say there's no way this program is going to work for me. I'm telling you right now, you're setting up a negative vibration around you. If you're single and you're saying to yourself, this program will never work, I'll never have a woman come into my life, you're right, a woman will never come into your life unless you change your thoughts. If you're in the process of getting a divorce and you think, I'm never going to save my marriage, you're absolutely right. It won't save your marriage unless you change your negative thoughts. Now, I want you to know something incredible about the mind. It doesn't know the difference between real and make-believe. This is really powerful information. They set up 3 groups of basketball players. The first group had to shoot 30 minutes of baskets. The next group had to think of a perfect basket for 30 minutes. The last group had to do nothing. Now, when they tested these groups and had them shoot baskets, can you guess which ones came out on top? The ones that mentally pictured the perfect basket. So the mind doesn't know the difference between real and make-believe. You can put in a positive thought even though you don't believe it. It doesn't make any difference, and the mind won't know the difference. One of the fellows in my class gave me a fantastic example of this. He said that he took a Dale Carnegie course where somebody had to come up and lead the group and say, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." So everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." Then the leader said, "Okay, come on, let's try it again." And again, everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." Then the leader said, "If you don't sound like you're really enthusiastic this last time, you're going to come up by yourself in front of a couple of hundred people, and you're going to have to say it yourself until you sound like you're enthusiastic." Well, the next time he said, "Okay, group," everybody said, "Boy, am I enthusiastic." They were screaming. Now, the interesting thing is, even though they weren't in the mood and they forced themselves, do you know what happened? There were smiles on everybody's faces. The adrenaline started to flow, and they actually did get excited, and they actually felt enthusiastic. So you can go from a point where you don't feel like you're madly in love to making believe that you're madly in love, and then you'll actually feel it. An example of this is after my wife and I have had an argument, and it's over and there's no loving feelings at that point. I'll say to her, "Okay, I know the argument's over. We don't really feel that loving towards each other. And let's make believe we're madly in love. Now, if you were madly in love with me, what would you do?" And she looks at me and she says, "Well, if I was madly in love with you, I guess I would put my arms around you." And I'll say, "Okay, I know you don't feel it. Let's just make believe." And she'll put her arm around me. And then I'll say, "What else would you do if you were madly in love? Not that we are, yet if we were madly in love." And she says, "Well, if we were madly in love, I guess I couldn't keep my lips away from you. I suppose I'd be kissing you." And then I'll say, "Well, let's just make believe." Well, you get the gist of it. Within a couple of minutes, we're laughing and giggling, and the hurt feelings are over, and we are feeling very loving towards each other. So you can act the part first, and then actually feel the part, and it's just as much fun. For those of you that are single and are not in a relationship, listen to me. I don't want that little voice in the back of your head to start talking to you about preconceived notions when I tell you the following story. A couple of years ago, 2 women in my class, ages 35 and 45, ran an ad in a local newspaper that said, "2 women who have never done anything like this before. Want moonlight walks on the beach, romantic candlelight dinners, etc., etc." They got 109 responses. They went out with 50 men each, and both today are married. Now, that was the first time that I even thought about a classified ad, and I want you to know that this is a wonderful way to meet the woman of your dreams. You're going to have to trust me on this. Try it. No negative thoughts. Experience it, and then evaluate it. Take your own local paper and read the ads that are already in there, and that's going to give you a lot of information. Then put your own advert together. Another friend of mine told me a couple of years ago they met a woman on a cruise who met her husband through a classified ad in a newspaper. She started out writing "raven-haired beauty looking for professional man." And she was so cute. She said to them, "Look at me. Do I look like a raven-haired beauty? Yet I was in a good mood that day, so I decided to write it. She met and married a millionaire, and they are traveling all over the world. You have to keep an open mind. In a classified ad, you only have a couple of lines to describe something very unique about you. I want you to thumb through your local paper and read all of the ads. Remember, I want you to keep an open mind. Your homework assignment for next week is to put together an ad that you could place in your local newspaper. It's a wonderful way to meet somebody new. Do you understand that if you meet a woman somewhere for the first time, you can't say, "I really like you, yet you smoke and that really upsets me," or "I'm a smoker, does that upset you?" In an ad, you can put anything you want. Social drinker, non-smoker, religious, playful, wants children, doesn't want children. And the more specific you get, the less responses you're going to get. Yet, hey, you only need one response if she's everything you've ever wanted. For her to respond, she probably says, "Wow, I read this ad, and that's me." And the most wonderful thing is that if all of us sat down and read all of these ads, every one of us would be attracted to a different ad. Because some of you want a very strong and opinionated woman. Somebody else wants a sensitive, caring woman. Another man wants a woman who's very romantic. Somebody else wants a woman who's very shy and timid. Everybody wants something different. So really think about what it is you're looking for and what's very unique about you. And everyone I know that has done this has had such a wonderful time. And I'll tell you, you can't be lazy and advertise because it takes a lot to put the ad together. And in some cases, get a photo of yourself. Don't rule out any of the dating organizations or matchmaking services either. Most men will say, "Oh my gosh, that's a couple of $1,000s to belong." Well, a higher quality woman is going to join. You see, if it costs a couple of $1,000, you're not going to get somebody who's hanging around a bar. It's somebody who is serious about finding a relationship. I know one thing for sure. Sitting home and doing nothing gets you nothing. Just trust me and do it. And then you can say, "Ernie, I placed the ad and it didn't work." I'd rather you come from a point of experience than thinking, "Oh, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. This is not going to work." Promise me that you're at least going to try it. Say to yourself, "I've got nothing to lose. I'll give it a try." You know how most people will say, "Have a good week"? I want you to make it a good week. I want you to decide that this is going to be the most positive, most productive week of your life. Do you know why? Because you deserve it. Thank you. This is the end of session 1. Please stay to listen to a sneak preview of next week's session. Welcome to session 2, Understanding Women. If I asked you, what's a woman looking for in a man, most of you would say, "You've got me. Who can understand them? They're too complicated." She doesn't know what she wants, so how am I supposed to know? What man has not cried out in frustration to the woman he loves? "What do you want from me?" Henry Higgins in the play My Fair Lady couldn't understand Eliza, so he asked, "Why can't a woman be more like a man?" I'm sure that frustration is shared by lots of men. So now I'm going to unravel the mystery for you. First of all, a woman can't be like a man because her brain is as different from yours as her sexual organs. Scientists have proven that men use the left side of their brain more and women use the right side more. A woman decides on something because in her heart it feels right. She's coming from an emotional point of view. A man decides on something because in his head he thinks it makes sense. He's coming from a logical point of view. A woman goes through life with her heart. A man goes through life with his head. A woman says, "I feel." A man says, "I think."
Congratulations on completing the second half of Lesson 1 in Awaken Her Passion. You've taken an important step toward rekindling and deepening the love, passion, and chemistry in your relationship. Remember, transformation is a journey, one that requires ongoing effort, awareness, and the application of the insights you've gained today. To express my gratitude for your commitment to personal growth, I'm thrilled to offer you, until the end of June, an exclusive additional 20% discount on the complete 6-week program, since Ernie is already offering an established 33% discount. Just use the code NOMSA20 during checkout, and you'll unlock a life-changing experience for nearly half the standard price, which is approximately $77 per week for 6 weeks. This way, you can be well on your way to a magnificent relationship within the first few weeks of going through this program. And that's not all. You'll also receive a free complimentary lifetime membership to our supportive community and forum group. This invaluable space acts much like a counseling or support group, allowing you to connect with Ernie and others on a similar journey. If privacy is a concern, feel free to post anonymously or reach out to him privately for guidance. Besides providing ongoing support, your comfort, security, privacy, and safety are our utmost priorities. And let's be honest, how many times have you heard a counselor say, after 6 sessions, I'll offer you free lifetime support? If Ernie senses that you could benefit from therapy or healing sessions, he will share his insights, and as a program graduate, you'll gain access to his highly discounted rates for life. He can work on anything ranging from migraines to phobias and PTSD, as well as back pain and arthritis. In general, he can work on any emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual issue affecting not only your relationship, yet your life. Upon graduating at the 6-week mark, you will also unlock a treasure trove of additional bonuses designed to enrich your experience. These include an ebook titled 101 Romantic Ideas to help keep the sparks flying, a personalized certificate of completion that you can proudly display, 16 concise YouTube videos addressing specific relationship issues with actionable solutions, a 45-minute video packed with more relationship insights, complete with 2 quizzes, an additional free lesson 7, and if you haven't signed up yet, complimentary relationship improvement tips delivered straight to your inbox. Altogether, these bonuses have a value of $3,670. For perspective, just lodging an application for divorce in Australia costs around $1,000, while divorce solicitors charge more than $550 per hour. A decent laptop will set you back about $2,000, and a reasonable kitchen fridge costs over $800. Ernie once met a man who lost a staggering $5 million due to divorce. Yet, for less than $80 a week over 6 weeks, you can access Ernie's full program, brimming with added extras. This isn't just a one-time program, it's a resource you'll return to time and again whenever you encounter relationship challenges. Even Ernie himself revisits the material regularly to keep things on track. So ask yourself, can you afford not to seize this opportunity right now? Invest in yourself, your partner, and the chemistry that binds you together. Your commitment to this journey can lead to the joyful and passionate relationship you've been striving for and pass on to your children. Oh, one more thing, and possibly one of the most important. Because we believe in the success of your relationship so much, we have collaborated to offer you a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. This means you get to go through the first 4 of the 6 lessons, and if for whatever reason you're not convinced this is the right fit for you, simply ask for a refund. All payments are secure as they go via PayPal. If you ever come across a psychologist, counselor, therapist, or coach that comes even close to the same level of confidence, we'd love to hear about it. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you soon in our private community chat and forum group as we continue to awaken both her passion and yours. Until next time, take care, and always remember, the path to lasting love begins with you. Click on the link below to start today.